Babyliciouses, how are you? Welcome to Babes on the Brink. Can you believe it? We're here. I am Annabel, the most faithful of faithful, and reunited after a very long time apart. Fidel de la Fidel, it's Chili Philly.
Hello, it's me, not Jane, unfortunately for everybody.
We've missed you.
No, I have missed podcasting. The funny thing is, we recorded the last one over a month ago, and I totally forgot what it was like to even be doing this. I opened up the wrong apps. I I wasn't ready for any of this. I didn't have the right links. I didn't have anything. So no, it's nice to get back into it. So yeah, thank you.
I didn't even notice Chili Philly was having a tech crisis because I'd run off to do my makeup quickly so I could look super hot for you all. And as I was spritzing on my perfume, I was like, Annabelle, what are you doing? They can't smell you.
But do you know what? Sometimes you look the way you smell.
Thank you. Well, I look fabulous, so you can tell I smell fabulous too. Puffs is in the background burying his beef bone. Love that for him. Anyway, welcome, babes. We are got long time since we last caught up with you to talk Traitors Quebec. For a whole mix of reasons. A, lack of subtitles. B, our depression spiraling. We have not got around to recapping the rest of the season, but we're here. And we're going to be looking at episodes 7, 8, and 9 today, and then next week we'll bring you the final 2 episodes. Starting off with a little bit of housekeeping. Full spoiler warning. So this is not just a full spoiler warning from episodes 1 to 9 of Traitors Quebec Season 2. This is full spoilers for all Traitors, really. All English speaking. I've also seen Hungary, Quebec 1. I've seen a few episodes of India now. I was on Australia too. So just be warned. There will be spoilers. And you know what? You can be mad about that if you want to, but it's not going to stop us spoiling.
Yeah, no, and also I would say to anybody who listens to any podcast that involves alumni of TV shows, we are not going to be thinking about things that we're spoiling. It's just the world you live in. You know all the information. It informs everything and how you perceive everything. You're literally on a show.
Literally stop me talking about myself. I can't. So that gives you spoiler warnings for Australian Survivor. Brains first, brawn the first.
Probably all of Australian Survivor. And then American Survivor too.
Oh, obsessed. All right. Anyway, if you want to admire how hot I smell, please follow us on YouTube, Babes on the Brink. Follow us on Instagram as well, also Babes on the Brink. You can find us everywhere except for TikTok because honestly, it kills us doing the level of admin that we do. And don't ask us to do more.
Yeah.
Shout outs. We've got some shout outs. So this is a shout out and an apology for not shouting them out last week. We love, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Olivier. Olivier is one of the producers of Traitors Quebec. He has an amazing Facebook group, Le Trait. Hopefully I'm saying that right as well. So definitely, if you speak French, or even if you don't speak French, go ahead and join Le Trait, the Facebook group, for great chats about the Traitors. And Olivier has been absolutely amazing. Got some very relevant rules updates that'll inform our predictions at the end of this episode. So thank you so much. Speaking of predictions, Philly, you listened to the last few minutes of our last podcast and said, Annabelle, they were embarrassingly bad. So what did we predict was going to happen in these episodes?
Okay, so obviously we were trying to predict what would happen in the next week, which was obviously 3 episodes. So we had actually a really broad sample of what we could have predicted. We said, it was inevitable that Marilyn would go.
Yeah.
We would say it's inevitable that Manuel will go.
Oh, thank God we were wrong about that.
And we also said it's obvious that Audrey would go.
Well, you know what? Aren't we blessed that they're all going to be in these final 2 episodes?
And the way,
because they've been so good.
And the way
and
that
you know what? I'm just going to
me.
say it. We can't be expected to get into the minds of the cracked Canadians.
Yeah, seriously. I find that no matter what language you're speaking in Canada,
yeah,
you're the same.
Yeah,
you are one.
I can't. Yeah. It's just too hard, so we can't. And we love it. And Canada never change.
No, we love Canada. I think we really need to book a trip and visit everybody.
Yeah, so I'm going to Canada in September
Yes.
and watching this. So at the moment I'm going to Vancouver and Toronto, and I was like, do I need to go to Montreal? Do I need to go to Montreal, Philly? I
Yes.
think I do.
You fully need to, because who's there? So,
I don't know.
okay, well, hit up Manuel.
Yeah, obsessed with get me on the Manuel bus right now.
See, I feel like I'm glad you've come around on like appreciating him in a larger sense, in a way that maybe matches how much I appreciated him from the start.
Yeah, okay, no, but I feel like that means nothing from you because you're just horny for all bald guys with a beard. Like, you weren't even looking deeper into the depths that are synagoguist Manuel Philly, okay? For me, I was like, I don't know, synagoguist, he's giving serial killer to me. And just with every episode, my appreciation is growing and growing. I think he's an absolute standout character, complete nut job, which I say as a compliment. I actually, going into these final few episodes, all of these characters, maybe with the exception of Kevin, because we don't really know Kevin, let's be real, they're also awesome. We've got Yolene, R.I.P. Audrey, who's just properly nuts and always bringing the drama. What a turnaround for Anik. Do you remember when we were watching this months ago now, and Anik could not get through 30 minutes in an episode without starting a fight with someone?
I was thinking this when I was watching it, because I remember I was like, I don't think I see what everybody was saying, and you're like, Phil, are you crazy?
You
Do
were!
not see? And then maybe my delusional mind just didn't see the crazy. But I did think about that when we're watching it, how big of a turnaround it was for her over these episodes. Like, she really fell off the radar for basically everybody. Also classic, like Canada style, Marilyn gets mentioned every single episode and nothing ever happens.
Yeah, I really feel like I've come to appreciate the depths of Marilyn as well, because she's quite a quiet or more understated player compared to the absolute crackpot Canadians. It's easy to dismiss her, but I think she's played an absolutely amazing game, murdered anyone who's got any suspicion about her. She has so many options going into the finale. I'm really, really, really impressed with her.
Yeah, seriously. We predicted that these two would not have lasted as long as they have, and for them to really last this long, it's typical Canada style, but I actually think the way that they had started was so bad that you almost couldn't see any possibilities.
No.
Good for them. Good for them.
Literally, and now I'm looking at my predictions for the last two episodes and I'm thinking, in most scenarios, it's a traitor win with one of the original traitors, and who would have ever have seen that?
Yeah, literally. No, there's so many permutations that are going to come out of this finale.
This is such a good season. I think both seasons of Quebec have been standout seasons for the drama, for the characters. Like, if your idea of the good traitors is people screaming at each other, Quebec is always going to have you covered.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and they were screaming these episodes.
There was so much screaming. All right, let's get into them. So, episode 7, which I am calling Viti Self-Sabotages. All right, we're going into breakfast, and Yolene is beefing with Audrey, because if you remember, Audrey put her name down last time, and Yolene is not very happy about it. But you know what? Mad respect to Audrey. Audrey is so unbothered by how much everyone hates her. Like, the number of times people are like, Audrey, we hate you, or she's listening in on a conversation where they're like, I hate Audrey, let's just get rid of Audrey because she sucks as a person. Audrey does not care. She thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah, well, I think it's the benefit of her, one, being a Survivor player and having played this sort of game before, that at this point she has nothing to lose. She understands that if you just keep it rolling, especially if you've done Survivor and then downgraded, we've talked about it so many times with the Big Brother players, and the Survivor players seem to fare a little bit better. but the speed of the Traitors doesn't allow for all the things to happen. And I feel like she's tapped into that thing where if she just keeps the ball rolling, no matter what her plan is, the next episode it'll be forgotten about and it'll just keep going and going and going and going. That's why all of her plans, they don't necessarily work, but she's still there.
It doesn't fit. I mean, I think about this with Survivor players and the headspace they're in, they're very intense about it and want to do the most and be the most all the time. Whereas it's a little bit more relaxed and vibey and like feeling each other out and building trust, I think, in the Traitors. And so I think she's managed to do that really well with Marilyn. I think the fact her ride or die is a traitor and she has no idea until the very last moment has been her saving grace. And I agree with you, the fact she just keeps going and she is really great at articulating herself has meant that she's been able to argue her way out of banishment. But I think being Marilyn's closest ally is the only reason she's still here, because otherwise, all of that game bottiness, we would have seen her murdered weeks ago.
So long ago. Yeah, there you go. Wait, did you end up renaming what was the Traitors Angel strategy? Or did you I can't remember, but you definitely said that does not work.
I think it obviously does work, but I just think it only works in such a niche scenario. Like, you have to be so lucky. You have to be Audrey, essentially, where you are able to authentically act. Like, you have to be the number one ally of the most influential traitor who gets to choose all the murders, so it's all your friends at the end. And then you also have to make sure you clock that that's a traitor, and you know that. And then you need to have more close friends at the end than the traitor who curated the people who were there so that they turn on you. So, like, if there's still a chance Audrey can pull this off, but I think I've been arguing that forming an alliance of other people who are really good at identifying traitors and astute and just trying to get out as many traitors as possible ups your chances of recruitment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But we'll see. Anyway, so Your Lane, she's beefing. And not the only person who's upset about Audrey. Mike, he's losing the will to live, seeing that Audrey is still in the game. Viti and JP are beefing, but Manuel really lifts the mood by doing this kind of like sexy on the ground cat crawl into the breakfast.
The reveal.
Yeah, he loves a little dramatic entrance, but somehow, remember Nick from Canada, how he would do like backflips into the room?
Yeah.
Imagine Manuel in one of his little fitted suits trying to do a backflip into the breakfast room. I couldn't.
Oh, that'd be so impressive.
And this also begins our arc of Anik is so clearly faithful. Why is she still alive? Yes. And this is cropping up in episode 7, and that is going to become more of an issue by episode 9. Charles is dead. He was super onto Marilyn, so good choice for her. And she's like, look, she's putting in a lot of effort into saying it must be men who are traitors because we've already got a woman and she's been killing off lots of the women. So that seems, there's more men to look at. They've got to nominate the 2 best communicators for the next mission, so they better not pick Harissa. Harissa has been so fun over these episodes too.
Yeah, like she also did kind of lose a bit of the will to live at the very end there, but yes, she did have a fun trajectory up until that point.
Yeah. I mean, Audrey has that effect on people. Anyway, so they end up picking Marilyn and Kevin, but not without Audrey throwing a bit of a tantrum. Anyway, the whole theme of this episode, it's just Viti going on and on and on about how JP, guy with the mullet guy JP, is definitely a traitor. He knows it 100%. If you don't also vote for JP, then Viti's taking down your number. Don't even ask him for evidence because that's so childish and a waste of his time. It's like, obviously JP, banish him if he's incorrect about it, Philly.
Yeah. It's so funny because he said, I don't want to be like a Timu Bruno Mars, but like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but you are basically acting like him. Whatever his name was. What was his name?
Frederic. No, it wasn't Frederic. No. It was Timo Bruno Mars.
Yeah, Timo Bruno Mars. Like, and it's even because he didn't, there's no evidence. He didn't corral anything. He went for the dagger, but like, he was just like, I'm just going to dump the 2 votes on it. Like, there was no actual sort of game plan with it.
It was Joshua. Joshua was
Yeah, Joshua.
Yeah, no evidence at all. And I hate this. I was just whinging about this because someone was doing it in the Traitors India. This whole vote me out if I'm wrong. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Like, if you're right, how are you so confident you must be a traitor? If you're wrong, you've just given people permission to vote you out. Like, just shut up. No.
Yeah.
Please don't use this as an argument.
No, and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
There's too many mechanics in this game for people just to, whatever.
Yeah,
Yes.
no thanks.
I get it.
JP's like, I don't even know how I'm going to fight back on this because there's no arguments to debate. There's no evidence. You're just saying this.
Yeah, literally. I just can't imagine what it's like to sort of have to combat that other than do nothing and hope that that just burns out. Because that it doesn't make any sense. Like, it actually makes no sense. Now I said that out loud. It doesn't make any sense. It's like you just put yourself in a position where everybody's looking at you for no reason, and what you're doing is weird, and your lack of argument doesn't direct anybody to anything.
Yeah, this is like, if you have a coherent argument with evidence, by all means, share the evidence. Just make sure you have evidence and don't invite people to vote you out.
Yeah.
Even if you're right, don't ever invite people to vote you out.
And if you're wrong, don't even try it.
Yeah.
What are you even doing?
So even though, like, Viti is being the absolute most, fighting with Harissa because everyone's fighting with Harissa, everyone is, like, more annoyed with Audrey now. Kevin and Mike, they're so annoyed with her. They're like, she's probably faithful, but she's the worst. Like, should we just get rid of her anyway? And Yolene's like, shut up, Audrey, you're throwing out too many names. And Audrey tries to come up and give her a shoulder rub. Yolene was not having it.
No. I kind of was sad that this was sort of like, because Yolene also gets the inspirational, she did the tightrope challenge. And that's when I knew she was going home. I was like, oh, they gave you, like, your package, basically. You did it for your family and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, oh no, we're losing her. As she was just hitting her stride.
And they were so rude about that murder as well when we get to it. I was so sad to lose Yolene. She was such a fun character as well.
Yeah, and then we saw her reaction to them talking about her. She was like, what the fuck?
I love her. We need more smoker grandmas.
Yeah.
That's what...
yeah. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
See, this is why I wish this was English speaking, so you could have done your roundtable impression with her voice.
Oh, she's so good. Over in Corinne's office, we've got Anik and Harissa, and I thought, Anik's been here a lot. I went back and tallied up how many times people have been invited into Corinne's office. Anik, the most, and she retains that lead by the end of these 3 episodes. She's really trusted by these people going out.
Yeah, and it's really funny because then Kevin eventually also ends up going there heaps towards this end run. So it's sort of really interesting to sort of see the distribution of trust with groups of people over time. Because, seriously, and then she has to act every time. Because, okay, no offense to the people constantly selecting her, but constantly sending her there is losing the power of her being there. Because what new information is she going to... Nothing.
No. And you can't corroborate the evidence.
Yeah, like... You need to be sending people different every time. Because I was thinking about it, it's like, what's stopping them from lying? And it's like, oh, because other people will enter it. Well, at this point, it's been 2 people across like 4 or 5 episodes. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so I've got the leaderboard here. Marie-Pierre and Marie-Jean both went in once, as did Charles and Harissa. JP and Manuel twice. By the end of this 3 block, Kevin has been nominated by 3 people, but twice in the same round, so he's only been in twice. And Anik has been in 4 times.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. So they're looking at them and they see, all right, Marie-Pierre, she brought up JP and Marilyn, and Charles also brought up Marilyn. So again, Marilyn getting called out a lot in the journals. I thought it was amusing. Harissa particularly clung on to Charles's diary because his compelling piece of evidence was that it was super weird that Marilyn voted for Harissa. And Harissa's like, yeah, it was super weird.
I could never.
This is the evidence.
Yeah, like I could never pick up while I was watching it what why they kept harping on that. I was like, didn't she bring up your name and then she voted for you?
Yeah.
I was really like...
I think Harissa loves it because it was mentioning her.
Yeah.
And no one else really thinks it's a big piece of evidence.
I kind of... Imagine if that's why Marilyn went.
I know.
Just like random.
So in Car 1, we have what ends up being a Final 3 alliance pact in episode 9. So Car 1 is Audrey, Kevin, and Marilyn. Audrey, she's kind of throwing out Mike's name, which Kevin's on board with, but Audrey, again, this is one of our other beefs we have with Survivor players who play the traitor. She is obsessed with the concept of winning the vote. So, like, we have to make sure that we are in the majority and we are voting out the person who goes home. So she's like, even though I think that Mike's the traitor, our only choice is to vote between JP or Viti because that's who everyone else is voting for, and it's really important we win the vote.
Okay, as somebody who did play with multi-season returnee Survivor player, was Luke like that?
Not really. Like, we were kind of, we really wanted to rally votes so that we could get rid of someone we wanted to get rid of. But it was all about getting rid of somebody who we wanted to get rid of.
Oh.
Rather than like, oh my God, it's really always important to be on the right side.
Yeah. Yeah, because I do find it, because we bring it up every single time. It's like, guys, it's just voting someone out.
Yeah, relax.
You don't need to you just have to make sure you're all on the same page. Yes, because you're corroborating this evidence and voting the person out. Yeah, it's really interesting. But like, I guess, yeah, it's the manifestation of a Survivor player.
And you do want to choose who is and isn't in the house. Like, if you have a strong preference for JP or Viti to stay over the other person because one person is working with you and trusts you and the other person isn't, by all means jump on that. But if it's much of a muchness to you,
like, it doesn't matter.
Over in Car 2, epic, because Mike finally has people to sit in the car with him. He has friends, finally, Philly.
Yes.
So he's got Viti, Yolene, and JP, and it's just Viti. He is certain JP's a traitor. Also Manuel's a traitor, and JP's just like, bro, relax.
Well, that was such a funny car combination. Wonder if because they surely did not choose to all be in the car.
They must have. But you're like, Yolene is Team JP. She's like, JP's not a traitor. So she's obviously not having a bar of it. JP's rolling his eyes. No one else can get a word in because Viti's screaming. But they still weren't the most fun car because in Car 3, we have Harissa, Anik, and Manuel. Harissa just rub each other the wrong way so hard, Phil.
Again, I guess I had blinders on for such a long time with Anik about just like what she's like, because I guess I never perceived it as anything. But her ability to always argue with Harissa the moment they get, that was noticeable. It's always noticeable to me. But to be fair, it's like, it's a weird combination of they'll interject into each other's conversations and then reiterate this was Harissa's issue. Is like she would be in a conversation and reiterate the same thing, and then they're like, you're just repeating the same thing we just brought up, and then you say you don't understand, but we don't understand. Why do you don't understand? You're just repeating it. Yeah.
I mean, in fairness to Anik, like, everyone seems to find Harissa too much, and I think Marilyn says at some point, like, Anik and Harissa are both talkers.
Yeah.
So Anik's trying to share with Manuel. And like, side note, Anik coming out to bat for Manuel right in those first few episodes and saving him after she had been the one to throw him under the bus. What like an absolute huge move did that turn out to be? Because he's been a ride or die ever since.
Well, because the issue of that was that he always trusted her, and then she misinterpreted it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was a combination of her managing to get out of that banishment unscathed, and then her still be there, that probably won him over even more. Because he's like, well, clearly she
saved him. She saved him. Yeah. So Anik's trying to share the info from the office with Manuel, and Harissa keeps trying to cut her off and tells tells Anik off and was like, I wasn't ready to share that information yet. I was trying to keep that card close to my chest. Anik's popping off on her like, why are you hiding information? That's so weird. Anik tells us, you know, if I wasn't a traitor, I'd be convinced Harissa was a traitor. Like, I actually think she might be secretly a traitor and I just don't know about it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But they reveal Marilyn's name keeps coming up to Manuel.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And like at this point, like, do we even care that they keep bringing up Marilyn's name? Because literally every single journal. Well, okay, in the end game, I think all of this will accumulate to something. But in this episode to episode basis, this is definitely a bit frustrating to watch.
Binging the episodes the way we are, it seems like the story is leaning towards Marilyn going out, but you never know. We could be netted again. And what stood out to me is that at one of the La Revelations, even host Karine tells the two forever banished people that, yeah, well, Marilyn's, because they were saying, oh, we suspect Marilyn. She's like, well, Marilyn's name comes up in the journals every single time and it still goes nowhere.
Yeah, because I think did she even ask them, like, why doesn't anything happen? And they're all just like, I
guess because Audrey's the one who's always starting the fights and the drama and she's never going to pin it on Marilyn.
Yeah, true. And you know what? I think Anik and Marilyn have managed to not necessarily align with them, but like have two shields that have been so active in everything, but not in a way that the attention's always on them. It's that they're perpetuating the attention on everyone else. And but there's two. It's not just there's one person being the drama person. There's two drama people.
A lot of loud and wrongs. You're so right. Like, I think they're super lucky in that at the beginning, they got rid of the people who really hated Anik. And this cast was stacked with so many loud and wrong people, like so many confrontational, unafraid to speak their mind people, that there's still, even with getting rid of some of them at the beginning, there's heaps of them left to keep causing the drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this particular mission, it's the grabbing bags off a high shaky bridge while blindfolded mission. We've seen this one a fair few times before. There's bags. In the bags there's money, but in one of the bags is a dagger and one of them's a shield. Viti really wants a dagger, which is a double vote, so he can stab JP. Audrey, of course, true to form, really wants a shield, but not today, Satan. Yolene has her little emotional moment farewell package with her family, and we're like, oh god, Yolene, this is not looking good for you. And Marilyn ends up guiding Viti to the shield, which obviously really pisses off JP. So in the cars on the way home, in a car, Harissa, Mike, and JP, they're very suspicious Viti wanted a dagger rather than a shield. Like, why isn't he more focused on protecting himself? JP's like, I think he might just be a really incorrect faithful. Like, that would be sad. I don't even think he's a traitor. I think he's wrong about everything.
Because who brings it in the La Revelation? Who brings up the there is a concept called, is it Viti himself?
That is bad faithful?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Viti talking about Harissa, but also himself. It should be himself.
It's like, why are you doing any of this when you're fully conscious of the concept?
I love him. And in the other car, Anik's telling everyone that she needs to confront Marilyn because maybe she's a little bit suspicious. Like, Marilyn and Anik do keep seeding each other. We see them make a final two-pact, but it's not... They're always hedging their bets. There's not a lot of trust there because they're constantly feeding each other's name out. But everybody trusts them so much that it never goes anywhere.
It's just really funny because I can't remember off the top of my head a season where we are actively being shown two different traders plant seeds over a long period of time, both with different endgame plans in this way before. Well,
yeah,
at least in the English-speaking ones, you've probably seen.
No, so they are, but they don't push it so hard that it goes anywhere. And I think what's really pertinent information, I imagine, other players correct me if I'm wrong, that people have been kind of assuming two traitors at the end equals a prisoner's dilemma, because that's what happened in Australia. But Olivia told me that actually no, the rule's been changed. After Australia, they've decided that traitors can split the prize together. There's no prisoner's dilemma. So I think that's really, really important. I actually don't like that. I think it should be really hard for traitors to split the prize, because it should be harder for traitors to win at the end. It's easier for them to get there. So I think the fact that they can go together and they can split it means, A, they're not as incentivized to turn on each other, but there's still a little bit of distrust because they're the only ones who actively know each other are a traitor. So they hedge their bets by making sure that people mistrust the other person more than them.
Yeah, because then it also sort of basically you end up with like a US 3 where everybody we all win, all 16 of us. Like, I think, we need scenarios where a solo person has to win.
I think Faithful should be able...
traitor or out of the two.
I think that Faithful should be allowed to split.
Yep.
4 ways if they want to,
because
it's so hard as a Faithful to get to the end. But because it's so much easier for a traitor to get to the end, they should be forced to prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah, because I always was, when I was watching these episodes and I was realizing how many people were left, as I was like, this is not that many people, and there's still 2 there, and they're not really picking up on them. I found it really strange, because usually there's all this backstabbing and stuff.
The incentive's been removed. So anyway, watch this space. Post-mission, JP, he's like, come on, guys, ask me some questions. There's a lot of heat on me. Onyx giving Marilyn the heads up that her name's all over the journals. Mike and Manuel want to vote Viti but fear his wrath.
I just realised probably also with that, sorry, going back to that rule thing, what probably the reason why they want to not encourage why traders sharing is possible is because they want to force the trader to be with faithfuls, so they do the reveal and it is a solo trader win. They don't want multiple traders in the finale. It's to de-incentivize them.
Yeah, but don't you think that allowing them to split incentivizes them to go together?
No, because they're hoping that they want to be selfish and be the solo.
Yes, but I think that allowing them to split, I mean, I know they're hoping that they will turn on each other, but do you think unless I'm misunderstanding you, are you arguing that removing the prisoner's dilemma is okay?
No, I'm saying production probably doesn't, they like the reveal of I'm a traitor. They're forcing that to happen now.
How?
By making the traitor only solo win with faithfuls.
But they're not. This is the whole thing. They're allowing them to split with traitors.
No, faithful. When they're with the faithful.
Yeah.
That's the only way they can solo win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
but they could only solo win before. Well, I mean, the prisoner's dilemma made it harder. Who would put themselves in a prisoner's dilemma, I guess is my argument.
Yeah.
No one should ever put themselves in a prisoner's dilemma.
No, but
so they're more incentivized to turn on each other.
Yeah, but now it's like, if 2 of you are together, you're just splitting it. So you're definitely just going to split it. You can't even have a share steal moment. So they're like, no, you have to be with faithfuls to solo it. Sorry, I interrupted the thing, but I realized that was my brain moment.
No. Okay, that's interesting. So, all right. In my mind, I'm thinking I would rather guarantee get money and split it than risk facing a prisoner's dilemma.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So that's why you wouldn't be with another trader, right?
Yeah, but in this scenario, there's no chance of there being a prisoner's dilemma. You can just say, well, I've got 2 options. Either she goes out and that's fine and I get it, or we can split and that's not so bad because either way I win. Whereas before, you absolutely had to turn on the traitor. There was no option because if you got to a prisoner's dilemma, you cannot trust each other. You always vote steal and...
You lose. But that's why I think we're getting shown why they have multiple plans, including with one another.
Yes.
So they're in a win-win, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that being able to split it opens up the real possibility of them splitting it.
Yeah, and they don't want that. And I don't think they want that. Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think production wants that either. That's why I think they should bring back the dilemma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway,
I'm so glad we debated that.
Yeah, no, and then we can see how this ends, and then this can be the addition to your meta manual.
Yeah, post-season, meta summary, love that. All right, back over there. Mike and Manuel are scared of Viti. Viti continues to obsess over JP. Marilyn, she's like, okay, but Harissa... And JP's like, it doesn't have to be one of us, okay? Just remember that. Just remember that. What I didn't get, because this is like a recurring theme here, especially in episodes 7 and 8, the faithful keep banging on about how if they don't get a traitor in this specific episode, then it's impossible for the faithful to win.
Yeah, because all the people, especially even when they get eliminated, they're like, sorry, you lost. Okay.
I mean, the math ain't mathing. Don't get me wrong, it gets harder every time. But how many in most seasons there's 2 traitors going into the finale because they want there to be there has to be at least one.
Maybe it's less of their perception of the strategy going forward and more so a read on how intelligent they think the others are.
We've got to get one or we're losing because we're losing faith in ourselves.
Literally, no one can get it at this point. And the irony of all of it, and I obviously the flashbacks reminded me, it's like the only reason why Corinne even got banished was because she had to do the handshaking thing. So it's like, they could have been 3 still there. And
even then there was still, don't forget, there was still question marks over whether or not Corinne really was a traitor. Yeah, I know, they couldn't. They couldn't shoot it. What is it you say? You couldn't shoot a duck in a barrel? That's these babies. So we go into the round table and Manuel tells us, well, I'm not on the menu tonight. He might be on mine, Philly.
Yeah, Manuel.
Manuel, who's the full meal.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Corinne, who I'm usually thirsty for, atrocious outfit, Philly. What was this weird chainmail headdress?
Yeah, I thought there's that sort of fabric that's like glass panels on like the sheer thing and you can sort of cut it out. So it's like, it looked like a drag queen outfit, but they just started drag.
Yeah, okay, a drag queen who's just started drag who's going to Ren Fair.
Yeah. Like they're somebody they're like a theatre kid who goes to Ren Fairs and their foray into drag is like, well, I'm going to be like a fierce medieval woman.
Yeah, I'm...
who lives in modern times.
Is it Joan of Arc?
Yeah.
Not hot. All right, anyway, Viti, it's blah, 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 JP. In fairness, JP's weird lie about the bid on the shield, saying he only bid $100 way back when, it was really sus, and we did say that at the time, so I'm glad that did come to bite him on the ass. But, like, Viti, he's fighting with Harissa, telling her she's childish and a waste of his time. Viti refuses to look people in the eye and say he's faithful because that's beneath him. But meanwhile, JP does look every single person in the eye and say he's faithful. Viti what was he doing? He completely sunk his own ship here.
Do you think he cared? I think
yes.
I think he just wanted it to happen.
I think, like, Viti is really hot and is like, why are you saying no to me? I am correct, and everyone should shut up, Harissa, especially you, and do as I'm saying. I'm really hot.
Yeah, I think he was definitely used to that, because there's no explanation for his just, and I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it.
I mean, look, I've said this a million times. If I was like 40% hotter, the wars I would be starting, Philly. Like, that level of hotness is wasted on so many people. And I'm just really glad that Viti is using his to be an absolute tyrant, because that is what hotness was made for.
Yeah, seriously, if you are not throwing your weight around being a hot person, why are you even here?
Yeah, literally. Anyway, Mike still thinks it's Harissa because the only person who hates Harissa more than Viti is Mike. Audrey's informing everyone that they're not allowed to vote for who they think's a traitor. You're only allowed to vote for either JP or Viti. And Mike tells her to sharpen mind her own business. Does Kevin even talk? Like, we get so little... Kevin is really trusted. He's, like, the swing vote, really. He's the one shutting down, we can't vote out Anik, but we never see anything from him.
Yeah, seriously, he has his coming out party when he keeps getting invited back to the thing like multiple times and he's in the alliance and stuff. But yeah, he doesn't really appear. Like he appeared a bit at the beginning and then disappeared and now he's back. He's back.
In fairness, he's military, and like this is me making gross generalizations, but I really feel like the military must beat all the charisma out of you. Maybe he's just not popping in his confessions.
Yeah. Well, though, I did find it really cute every time he got the letter saying he got to go to the room and he's like, thank you, blah, blah. Thank you, blah, blah. So he's cute. He's
cute. He's a hot dad. Like,
Yeah.
Kevin is a hot dad.
Yeah. So maybe he just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, probably some questionable political opinions, but he's kind of hot enough to pull it off, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, everyone votes for Viti, except for Viti, who whacks both his votes on JP and his bestie Anik, who throws a sympathy vote on JP as well. Even she's like, JP, I don't really think you're a traitor, but I'm not voting for Viti.
Yeah. And you know what? Then she gets to go in the room again. So like...
Yeah, I know. Love her. All right, everyone's sad because Viti's a faithful. Oh my god, can you believe it? We were manipulated into voting for Viti rather than JP. And Audrey tells Manuel he's a traitor and they should all just banish him. And he's like, okay, I guess I'm safe from murder tonight. I love Manuel. Is Manuel's kind of the Noel of the season? Like, he's had heat since the first episode, but not going anywhere. Except unlike the Noel type, he's not beaten down by it. Like,
Yes.
he's still the only person who sticks it to Audrey, who still has confidence in himself.
Yeah, I would say the Noel archetype is like they're unnecessarily bullied by everybody else. It's like you haven't done anything for a long time, but we still are just throwing you out there, even though you've actually tried to do as little as possible. While Manuel is so actively in it that there's always some random thing that's brought him back into the ring. Same with
I
Audrey.
think the way he carries himself as well, he's just not someone who allows himself to be bullied.
No, yeah, exactly. No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
He has, like, I think he had one moment in maybe the last episode where he sort of got a little shook, but up until that point, he really just took everything on the chin.
Yeah. All right. So, post roundtable, they're all sucking and guessing themselves for switching their vote. They're not sure if they blame Audrey, they're not sure if they blame JP, but Audrey is like so desperate to be recruited, and she's so annoyed they're not catching traitors because it's making it really hard to get recruited. She would not be top of the recruitment list anyway, I've got to say.
Yeah,
Who would want to recruit her?
Yeah, like, I understand her, like, she needs to be saved sort of mentality, and she really is trying it. But one, why would you think it's in anyone's best interest to save you, yet alone the two people that you're going to approach? And also, everybody's already identified how you game the game. If you're a traitor and you can do everything, who would want to give you that power?
Yeah, you're so right. Like, she simultaneously doesn't have the relationships with anyone except for Marilyn. And she's constantly demonstrated herself to be such a gamer that I don't think even Marilyn could trust her as a fellow traitor.
Not at all. She's willing to throw out everyone's name, faithful or not. She's like willing to go for shields. If she was a traitor, she'd be just going for the shields anyway. Like, yeah.
Like, I love her as a character. I think she's got really lucky in that Marilyn is a traitor, but I don't think she's been a terrible game player. You know, there's every chance that she could still win this, and she's exercised a lot of agency.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, she pulls this like completely cracked move here. So she first pulls aside Manuel, then afterwards JP, and basically like begs them to recruit her. She's like, look, recruit me, we'll work together, okay? Like, girl, I'm not a traitor. No, okay, you're not a traitor. Just recruit me. No, I'm not a traitor, Audrey. I can't recruit you. And then she's like, oh, she kind of realizes this isn't working. Tries swearing them to secrecy. She's like, well, if you tell anyone, I'll blow it up and say you were lying, and I'm going to turn it on you, and I'm going to get you out. And JP's like, okay. And Manuel's like, I won't be told who I can talk to and what I can say, Audrey.
Yeah. And my favorite thing about her doing that as a, like, if you tell anybody, I'm going to come for you, even though I'm going to do it to another person. And he can corroborate that I did the same thing twice. And after I'd already been accused of doing something similar to me by someone else. Like, it's like, Audrey, how could you have made that mistake when the same thing that happened to Corinne, you were involved in that?
Yeah, literally. Anyway, she then goes off afterwards to spy on JP and Mike to see if he blabs. And they're just bitching about her. Hate her. She's so annoying.
Yeah.
She's so unbothered by it. That's what I really admire about her. Like, I would be crying so hard. If I was spying on people and they were like, Annabel is so annoying, I wish she wasn't even here, I would be bawling in the corner.
Oh, in this moment, it's like, also, I feel like this is a bit of the Survivor coming out as well, the hiding and listening in and stuff. But also, do you know what? I just had the thought just then, I think JP would probably be good at Survivor. Based off this.
Is it the mullet?
Maybe. Maybe. Survivor
He
mullet.
needs to bulk up. Like, I think he needs to get jacked.
Yeah. But, like, the fact that he even considered not mentioning anything until there was even a drop of a hint of something else coming up. And then him, even when Manuel had told him, sorry, jumping ahead, but like, and then him waiting until Manuel said something and then going to her first before he revealed anything. That was next level.
No, actually, you make such a good point. I think he would be really good on Survivor. Tell you who would be terrible at Survivor? Okay. Well, I mean, Harissa as well. But I was going to say Manuel would be so bad. Can you imagine, like, someone coming up to Manuel to tell him who the vote's on, and he'd be like, don't tell me who I'm voting for tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not. So Manuel, you have to keep this secret. We can't spill the beans. I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do.
That attitude, perfect for the Traitors.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Would not fly on Survivor.
Yes. Oh, fully. Oh my goodness.
Iconic. All right, up in Traitors Tower, they're very smug about the Charles kill. And this is where they make their pact. You and me at the end. Arnick, she's like, I've got to put aside the fact that back in the day I was burnt by her and she voted for me, because lest we forget, Marilyn did vote for Arnick back in the day. We've got to go all in. And the names for murder tonight are Yolene, Harissa, and Mike. I'm so sad they murder our smoker queen, Auntie Yo-Yo. How could they? And they're so disrespectful about it. They're like, she's bad at missions and not giving any money. Like, what's she even contributing to the game anymore? You take that back. Put some respect on Yolene's name.
Even when they were signing it, we better put it as Yo, because that's what people call them. I was like, guys.
Do not with me right now.
You're loading this.
Literally. Okay, in La Révélation, Viti and Charles are there, and Viti, I thought he took it a lot better than Timu Bruno Mars did. He was willing to be humble about it, and Corinne gives them the lecture about everyone thinking it's Marilyn, but nothing ever happening. And we roll into episode 8, which I'm calling Mike Loses the Will to Go On in a Post-Corinne World, and Audrey is the most. Mm-hmm. So the Traitors are in first, followed by Manuel and JP. And this is where Manuel reveals the whole Audrey drama of it all last night, while JP stays quiet. And Arnick, she's like, Manuel, don't tell everyone else. Like, I do not need Audrey coming for you today. Marilyn's hamming it up that she thinks Harissa's coming in. Harissa, she's totally a traitor. But oh my God, Yolene is dead. Audrey's giving death stares to Manuel. Don't you dare blab my secret, Manuel. But apparently, no. It wasn't last night. Tonight is the last night the faithful can win the game. Post-breakfast, Manuel's kind of flirting with the idea of sharing his secret. But again, Arnick shuts him up. JP runs off to go and confront Audrey first. And Marilyn pulls Kevin aside. And Harissa, she's left in the dark. So Marilyn fills Kevin in with the Manuel Audrey tea. And don't you remember, like, back in the day, Kevin used to be on Team Arnick. It used to be Kevin and Arnick were like this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting how Marilyn slowly pulled him to her side.
Yeah, because how many car things have we seen? Because this is the one thing about the Traitors that is real, that I just feel like they can never really portray properly, of how quickly all your relationships flip over literal days. and how much time we spend together and stuff, because I feel like the same thing happened with something else we recently watched where I was like, oh, okay, I guess you guys are
When did
close
that
now.
happen? Yeah.
Like, okay.
That happened. Yeah, so he's still close with Anik. He still doesn't really want to vote her out, but he's absolutely now a tight duo with Marilyn. It's those two. But he's set on voting out Harissa. And Marilyn, this is where we hear, this is my dream final four. And this is an amazing final four for her. She said it would be Anik, myself, Kevin, Audrey. Because at that point, I've got a choice. She says here we'd eliminate Audrey and then I'd split it with Anik. But in an alternative world, she could theoretically then get rid of Anik and take it all for herself too. So that, if it ends up in that final four, she's in an awesome, awesome spot. JP has his little confrontation with Audrey. He's like, did you tell Manuel the same thing as me? No, I didn't. Why? Did he say something? That's it. That is it. Audrey, you're a liar. I'm telling everyone you're a traitor bluffing. You lied to my face and I saw your lies in your eyes.
These Canadians with their eyes and things they see and feel. I saw with my eyes. You didn't look in my eyes.
They see and feel so much. Manuel's filling Mike in on the goss. JP comes in and he reveals his goss. Oh my God, Manuel, it was me too. I just didn't want to say anything until I spoke to her and then she lied to my face. And the men make a pact to vote out Audrey. But Audrey is spying again, and she comes into the room. Don't you just love a Traitors slow clap moment? We've had so many of them, and I never get tired of them.
It's so funny.
She's like, well, actually, very suspicious. This clearly means Manuel's a traitor. And also, don't we remember player Corrine? She was the only traitor we know was a traitor because we're really bad at catching traitors. And she wanted to murder me, so obviously it's not me. I was just playing my last card. And then Manuel and Audrey have a massive fight in front of all of it.
And then they all leave and then he leaves mid-fight.
Well, yeah, literally. Everyone gets up to leave because they don't want to witness it. And Manuel's, well, I'm leaving. Okay. Meanwhile, Anik is back in Corinne's office, naturally. She's with Kevin this time, and she thinks reading the journals together is somehow gonna, build trust. I don't know. Not a lot, obviously. Marilyn, JP, Manuel, Harissa, all the names that are out there. And we head to the mission. So this is the mission where you split into two teams. One player in each team looks at a painting. They then describe that painting to a painter who recreates the painting based on the description. And then the third and fourth player take that new painting to find the original one in the house. And the most notable thing here is that Marilyn and Kevin are so bad at painting and describing that Audrey decides they're traitors trying to stop her from getting a shield.
It's almost like the combination of of one thing that's just super annoying with the traitors is that people assuming it's a mole and that there's people sabotaging. And two, Audrey just being so self-interested that she's as if she's the only person who's ever thought of wanting a shield. Like, you're doing it against me.
Self-obsession that we all have. This was clearly all about me and my shield. Okay. But anyway, Marilyn actually wins them the mission by spying on the other people's paintings, snatching the right painting away from Anik. And so the winners are Marilyn, JP, Audrey, and Kevin. But Audrey's suspicious, so she has this confrontation with them that kind of pisses Marilyn off. They still agree to give the shield to Marilyn. And Audrey's like, look, she's been my closest ally from the beginning. I think that I've just really put Marilyn offside. So I'm not going to make a big fuss about wanting the shield for myself this time. And they all agree they're going to play the shield strategy. So no one's going to say who's got what. This really pisses Harissa off though, Philly. Really pisses Harissa off. Post-mission, it cannot be explained to Harissa why the shield strategy is completely sensical.
Yeah, it's optimum. This is the one few things in the Traitors that's actually optimal.
Oh my God. Audrey reveals the Marilyn sabotage to Anik. Marilyn, just keep in mind, she's so sneaky. She's always trying to turn people against each other by saying that other people are turning them against each other. She's like, just remember that, Marilyn, she's manipulating us because we're close to her. She's trying to turn us against each other, but just remember that, okay? Love it. Everyone yells at Harissa. Harissa tells Marilyn she's a traitor. And Audrey, JP, and Marilyn are like, look, the guys, the military bros, they're all voting Harissa, but like, should we be breaking up the military brotherhood here? And something must happen because there's no real, like all the names at this point, Harissa is the main one. But then there's also like a lot of heat on Audrey too. So I kind of don't understand how it ends up turning on Mike at this round table.
Oh, it came out of thin air.
So there must have been a discussion between everybody that they were going to kind of vote on. I mean, I guess Anik and Manuel put their votes elsewhere, but that Harissa, JP, Marilyn, Audrey, though I guess actually Audrey, JP, and Marilyn, they're the ones having this chat. So they all agree, they must agree here to vote for Mike, and then Harissa jumps on that to save herself.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to the bottom of it. All right, and Anik gives Manuel, like, he's like, I know Harissa, she's really annoying, trust me, I get it, but like, listen to what she's saying, because low-key, like, Marilyn really is a traitor, okay? Anyway, then they have this weird dinner party where they've all got to vote for who they trust the least. It's Harissa, and then she gets to choose whether or not she's going to take 7K for herself or add it to the pot where it will be tripled, and they're going to reveal what she chose after the round table. Like, obviously, take the 7K. Yeah. There's no way she's getting to the end. Everyone hates you.
Yeah, literally. Oh, good on her. You know?
Love that for her. We have a really messy round table. So Anik opens with the Audrey drama of it all. But like also it was weird. JP didn't tell him at breakfast. He's lying. But, you know, he was looking for a traitor's mistake and that was it. Don't look into it. And Audrey's defending herself, blah, blah, blah. Mike drags the conversation back to Harissa. She circumvents everything. She never shuts up. And Audrey's like, no, actually, Harissa has no friends and zero discretion. Yeah, she's annoying, but she's not a traitor.
Yeah. Everything she's doing, I think it's just her personality. It's not. It's kind of
literally. And Audrey's like, speaking of personalities, Mike, you have zero personality now your wife is gone. It's like, yeah, he's a wife guy. Having a wife and loving her is his personality.
Yeah, he actually came on the show because his wife wanted to be there, not because he wanted to be there.
Wife guy, that is him. So in the end, Harissa, JP, Marilyn, Audrey all vote for Mike. Kevin and Mike, angry, vote for Harissa. Anik votes for JP and Manuel throws away his vote on Kevin. Mike is gone. Harissa took the money. And Mike is like, well, this clears you. This is where JP fully stabs Harissa in the front of the chest. He's like, you know what? A traitor, they know they're winning, so they would have put the money in the hot pot. This clears Harissa, everyone. We can murder her tonight.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I know. I do love this new saving each other accidentally by making grand statements at the round table. We've gone from Trina's like grand speeches to literally, you are faithful. We can't vote you out. We can't do anything to you. Guess what, everybody? This person I trust.
Oh, and you, Manuel, a traitor. And again, we get JP and Manuel telling us they're sus on Marilyn, which still goes nowhere next episode. Manuel loves doing his rankings. Like, this is a man who does not think rankings are arbitrary and reductive. He's telling everyone he trusts Anik the most, followed by Harissa. The rest of you, I totally suspect equally. And Audrey's like, look, Anik, she's the most clear of suspicion. Like, none of us are sus on Anik. If she's still here tomorrow, we've really got to look at her. Kevin, he totally trusts Manuel and suspects Harissa still. And Audrey, in a total backstabby mood, because that's all she ever does, she's playing both sides. She runs off to tell Anik that Marilyn suggested she could be a traitor.
Yeah, my goodness.
So obviously up in Traitors Tower, Anik is popping off on Marilyn. Like, how dare you? Don't you betray my trust? But they reassure each other they're committed to going to the end together. And they're going to decide, do we murder Harissa or Manuel? Oh. We know where that goes.
Yeah, guess what, Manuel? JP played the immunity idol on you and gave you some immunity.
It helps that he's undyingly loyal to Anik as well.
Yes.
So in La Revelation, Mike is giving Kevin access, suspects Harissa and JP. Yolene, tells us that she suspects Kevin, but she loves him so much that she would have let him win as a traitor anyway. So she also invited Kevin. She also suspects Anik. Very dramatic. There was the fallout with Ariane, so they're both kind of halfway there. Anyway, too bad, because you're both dead. And we get into episode 9, which I'm calling Audrey, She's Still the Most, and Factions Solidify. So, Marilyn and Audrey are in first, which gives them some time to clear up their drama from yesterday. So love that for them. And they agree they're going to target the men, because it's obviously men. And you can't, you know what, Phil? You just can't go wrong with targeting Manuel. It's always a safe bet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people's champ.
Yeah. A few more people come in and Marilyn's like, well, obviously it should be Anik murdered, am I right? Gonna be really weird if Anik's not the one who's murdered here. But Kevin's sus on JP now? Like, where did that come from? I don't know. Anik comes in. Marilyn, sneaky Marilyn, gives Audrey a squeeze under the table, like, how sus is this? And everyone's giving Anik eyes.
Yeah.
The moment is broken by Manuel giving a final dramatic entrance, and Harissa is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Anik knows she's got to put on a performance of a lifetime today, and she does.
Yeah.
Like, by the end of the day, no one suspects her again.
Yeah, because that was the thing when they kept pointing out, it's like, well, she has to be dead. Like, she has to be the person gone, or else it's super sus. And I was like, that is so true. Because this is when I really realized, oh, there's like no one left. I was like, you should have gone a long time ago, actually.
Yes!
You're still here. And so, yeah, so it was like that moment where I was like, yeah, you guys are all, at least you guys are catching on to things that are actual, like, you know, we harp on about like, you need to find like real evidence, not these weird gut checks. But like something like that, it's like, you really should have been gone a long time ago. Why aren't you gone? And I'm surprised this come up now.
Memories like fish, you know? The Ariana situation, they've forgotten all about that. Anik, they all suspect her at breakfast, nothing by the end of the evening. Marilyn, her name has never come up at a round table. Like, has her name ever been written down? She's still there.
Yep.
And she's low drama. Why?
Yeah.
Kevin, why is Kevin still there? It has to be, Kevin's name never comes up, everyone trusts him. So it's got to be Kevin or Marilyn. Like, who's protecting Kevin?
Yep. Yeah, because that's actually the interesting thing, is that everybody's assuming that it's if they're two people who are working together, that they're assuming they're both traitors, instead of assuming one's a traitor and one's a faithful. And then obviously, as we find out, that as we see at the end of this episode, that's what the dynamic ends up being, that there's two sets of this with Audrey in the middle. And I find it, I don't know if it's maybe they're or overthinking it a little bit, but it's so obvious that, yeah, if it's a duo and they're together and there's one person who should have been gone a long time, one of them has to be a faithful and one of them has to be a traitor. Not both traitors. It doesn't make any sense.
Completely. This late in the game, if a faithful is still there and they haven't had heat, if they're not really loud and throwing out wrong names, you've got to look at them and their closest friend. Someone is keeping them in. Why is Anik there? Why is Kevin there? Why are Marilyn there? All right, so post-breakfast, Manuel and JP, they're having a standard bitch about Audrey. They're like, look, I just don't want Audrey to get the money. Don't care if she's a traitor. Don't care if she's a faithful. Do not want that woman to see a cent. And Manuel's like, yeah, look, you know what? If I've got to give the money to a traitor, JP, I'd rather it was you. They say, no one can change my mind. We're voting for Audrey today. Kevin and Marilyn are off together. They make a final 2-pact. She's kind of floating Anik's name, but he wants to target JP and Manuel. Meanwhile, Anik and Manuel make a final 2-pact. And he's like, Anik, I'm voting out Audrey tonight. She's a pain in the ass. Marilyn brings in Audrey to be the third in the alliance. She's like, yeah, let's work together, but also let's work with Kevin. And Audrey's like, oh, are you sure about Kevin? Yeah, I'm super sure about Kevin. Like, this really tips Audrey off. She's like, Marilyn is my number one, but it's very clear that I am number 3 in this alliance. Like, Kevin and Marilyn, I need to break those two up. So Audrey's told that they're going to be targeting Manuel tonight. Audrey, she's a bit sus on Anik still at this stage, and she does want to remove Kevin from the equation at some point. She has a super, super awkward conversation with Manuel. Is there sexual tension between Audrey and Manuel? Like, obviously not. They hate each other, but they have all these super awkward conversations where, like, they really hate each other. And I feel like if this was a rom-com, this would be a classic enemies to lovers lovers storyline.
Assume that that's the case, but I did feel that energy from it.
I'm sure they're both married and in love with their partners and hate each other's guts. But I'm just saying, in my fan fiction world, Manuel and Audrey scissor after the season's over.
Also, I had another one of my random brain sort of things when you were talking about Kevin and all that sort of stuff. Do you think the reason why Kevin does turn on JP and Manuel, I guess, is because in his mind, he's a faithful. And one of them, quote unquote, has to be a man. And that he needs to get rid of at least one of the other men so he can be the last man. And then he's almost assured to be a faithful.
I don't know how strategic Kevin is because we have not seen him articulate any of this. And he shouldn't want to be the last man standing because then they would ostensibly, with that logic, he's the traitor.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, he doesn't realize that they're not.
No.
But I'm sure in his mind, he's like, okay, I'm a faithful, and we're assuming there's at least one man, and there's only 2 other men left. So if I go for both of them, but then he doesn't realize it's going to backfire.
It's so going to backfire. Yeah, all right. Well, someone let us know in the comments. Did Kevin have, like, an in-depth strategy we just never saw? Audrey kind of suggests to Manuel that they should, I think we can work together. We could split up Marilyn and Kevin. What do you think about that? And there's so many, again, in this enemies to lovers storyline, there's so many, like, they sort of flirt with the idea of working with each other, but they're totally, both of them think they're playing the other one.
Yes, and they're playing the same game.
Yeah. Over in Corinne's office, Kevin's there by himself, and he reads a key piece of evidence in Maxime's journal, which was that Manuel had a predatory smile during the handshake. And I'm just saying, this is why I thought I was like, this is a serial killer synagoguist in the first couple of episodes. He did have a bit of a predatory air about him.
When you say predatory, in which way?
In a murderous, homicidal way.
I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah. Like, you need to move it from enemies to lovers really fast.
Seriously, Manuel, you can shake my hand anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Come shake Philly. But meanwhile, Marilyn apparently witnessed this whole thing. So he can go fact check that with Marilyn. Was Manuel being a creepy predator in the corner? We're on the way to the mission. Manuel and Kevin are bitching about Audrey. She's so annoying. And Kevin thinks that JP, he's so tired. Didn't remember how he used to have a personality and now he's exhausted. And it totally couldn't be because Viti has been viciously attacking him for days on end.
No, not at all.
And Anik asks JP and Audrey if they're targeting Manuel, and they're very non-committal about it. We come to my least favorite mission, Billy.
Yeah, the creepy people.
Yeah, the one I am firmly opting out of. So they're carjacked by creepy masked people, handcuffed and tied to trees, where they have to escape, untie themselves, which will set off flares. Then they get chased by the creepy masked people. If caught, they're out, and if they make it to the field, they then have to tear open scarecrows to find the money. Hate it. Everyone except for Manuel and Marilyn make it to the field. Audrey is doing her Audrey bullshit. She's like, Kevin, the traitors are trying to turn us against Marilyn. We have to vote together. No one finds a shield. And in the cars home, JP, Manuel, and Anik, Manuel's like, we've got to vote together. Audrey and Marilyn, they're a tight pair. Anik's like, yeah, and I think they're coming for you, Manuel. And we're like, we've got to vote for Audrey. We can't let that woman win. Over in the other car, we've got the other alliance. We've got Marilyn, Audrey, and Kevin. They're all agreeing to vote together. Marilyn, she's suspecting Anik, but Kevin wants JP or Manuel. He still doesn't want to vote for Anik. So they lock in, kiss. This is the first time the three of them are all together. This is where they lock in their final three. And after the mission, Manuel and Audrey, they're having like more awkward conversations. So they're lying to each other about who they're targeting. Audrey gives him the same line. She's like, I think the others are just trying to turn us against each other. But Manuel never buys a bar of Audrey's bullshit, which we love about him.
Yeah.
And Kevin's like to Anik, I really don't like Audrey. I just don't think she's a traitor, though. So JP, he thinks that Audrey and Marilyn are the traitors, But he wants to target Audrey, so he's sucking up to Marilyn. And Manuel's also slinging shit about Audrey. Like, it really looks like it's between Audrey and Manuel tonight, but spoiler alert, it is not between Audrey and Manuel at all. Like, again, where is this secret conversation that happens?
Yeah, literally. Like, what? Again, where's the evidence?
Everybody except for JP ends up voting for JP. Like, when did this chat happen? When did the others decide to get rid of this in-betweener who's not in any alliance?
Oh, literally no idea.
Anyway, we're really, like, prolonging the episodes here. So, first of all, we have a fireside chat. They're all pulled to the fireside and they're told, all right, tonight we're going to give someone a dagger. We're all going to vote for who we trust the most this time. And the person who gets the most votes is going to get a double vote tonight. Apparently, somewhere in between them chatting to everyone and now, Audrey's changed her mind. JP's the traitor. And they all have to vote publicly who they trust the most. JP says Manuel, which is fair. Anik and Marilyn both vote for Kevin. Audrey votes for Anik, which is super weird. She says she's just trying to play both sides, but it's so rogue. Like, Manuel also votes for Anik, and Kevin confirms he's in a duo by Marilyn by voting for her as well. So Manuel's like, yeah, obviously a duo. So they have to do a re-vote because of the tie. You can only vote for Anik or Kevin. And Audrey ends up voting for Anik again, which means that no one ends up getting a dagger. Okay. And, like, going into this roundtable, I'm like, it's kind of crazy that Audrey has just got away with this insane behavior all season long.
Yeah, literally, I know. And that's the funny thing about that. This is what I mean at the very beginning. Like, because she's doing it constantly, it's predictable, but it's also not. So it's like that weird thing of, we know it's just Audrey things, but it's not to your benefit. She's just doing it for her own, like, seriously, they should have banished her so long ago for constantly going for shields and all this sort of stuff. But, like,
just sowing so much distrust and always being wrong.
And
like, you got rid of Timu Bruno Mars for much less.
Yeah, like, I don't understand, because she leaves almost every banishment being like, I don't know what happened there, and then the next day she's perpetuating another sort of series of actions that sort of get somebody out, and then the next time she's like, oh, I didn't. Like, we're absorbing this, we're binging it, then we're doing it in weeks apart. If you're doing it day to day, shouldn't you just be like, this lady's crazy, what is she doing?
Yeah. I mean, they're all crazy. Don't get me wrong, they're all
Like, she's
crazy
funny.
people. And
Like,
she's
she's
the
fun.
crazy of the crazies.
Like, she's a fun person, it seems. But
No, I
like,
love her. She's an
like,
icon.
they seem to enjoy her when she's not doing it. But, like, she's the only person doing it. Well,
No, I think they don't. Marilyn likes her, and Anik doesn't seem that bothered by her either, but the men are not about it. This is the second last round table, and they're gonna fluff it up again. So Anik opens on JP. She's like, I see two different people. He's forced to defend himself again over the Audrey incident. He's like, you're just playing a kamikaze role? What are you doing, Audrey? And Audrey and JP are screaming at each other across the table. And she does, like, in fairness to her, she puts up a really good defense. Because everything she's doing is for clear strategic reasons, she's able to articulate that really well.
Mm-hmm.
Marilyn asks Manuel about his knowing predatory look, and he's like, I was just asking for gossip. That's my, like, fun gossipy face. If you think I'm a traitor, try me. Oh, we'll try you, Manuel, don't worry. So Audrey turns back to bullying JP, who makes a much easier target. And everyone votes for JP. Manuel ends up flipping his vote to JP despite promising him all episode he won't. And I'm just like, where was the chat where they all agreed to do this? I felt like Anik and Manuel ceded strategic ground here because, like, it's so clear that Kevin and Audrey are in bed with Marilyn. That, like, I mean, I guess Anik feels like she's also... Everyone thinks they've got a final two with Marilyn except for Manuel. So I think Manuel lost the most amount of control going into the finale after this.
Oh, like, we already made the reference. He's in null position. No position.
Like, JP even voted Manuel as the person he trusted the most. Like, Manuel needed JP to still be around more than anybody else still on the table.
Yeah, like, he lost the only other sort of person that was on side, and now he literally can't recover because, like, yes, he's Anik's friend, whatever, alliance member, but he doesn't have enough. He hasn't bolstered enough. Like, realistically, though, like, who else would he have had? No
You
one.
could, like, if they had managed to get rid of Audrey here, if they had managed to, they went to a tie and basically pushed Kevin into getting rid of Audrey, then they have clear numbers. That's JP and Manuel and Arnick. JP's so grateful that they've saved him. We know JP kind of is sus on Marilyn.
Oh.
Anyway.
And like, I would say for the JP Manuel side, going back to what I was theorizing before about Kevin and the men and stuff like that, maybe it is to your benefit to just have the guys all in the end. So get rid of Audrey.
Yeah.
And then be like, yeah, it's clearly Manuel and it's clearly JP. They're the two other suspicious men.
Yeah.
And then if they do the no reveal, not that they know that there's no reveal, but like, guess what? You win. So, you know what? Maybe we just establish how Kevin loses and how he could have won.
Yeah. Anyway, JP does his big, oh my God, I'm not even a social worker, I'm a correctional officer reveal, whatever. And Manuel's feeling super guilty. He gets a little teary, bless him.
Yeah, that's when he was going to cry.
I know. So all the drama, I feel like the most compelling part of these whole 3 episodes are in this post-round table bit.
Yes.
Because Audrey has, like, Manuel goes up to Audrey and he's like, oh no, sorry, start again. Manuel says to Arnick, Audrey's convinced me, I don't think she's a faithful, let me start for a 3rd time. Manuel's like, oh my God, Audrey, totally, it's all Audrey's fault. Once again, she's made me switch my vote at the last minute. I'm like, how many times can you pull that card? Like, how many times can you let your vote be swayed by Audrey and still blame Audrey afterwards? And they agree, you and I, we're faithful. The traitor, they're in the other 3. Meanwhile, Audrey's running around the house freaking out because she was super sure that JP was a traitor. She goes and, like, locks in her final 3 alliance with Kevin and Marilyn, but now Audrey's like, I can't trust my reads. I'm wrong every time. I'm sus on Kevin. I'm sus on Marilyn. I'm also sus on Arnick. Like, Manuel, he's pretty much the only person that I don't think is a traitor at this point, and I still kind of think he is. She pulls Manuel aside. He gives her this very awkward hug. And he's like, I don't really hug people, but I'm hugging you to signal I'm finally starting to believe you. But it's all a ruse, Philly, because he doesn't trust her at all. He was giving her fake body language in the form of an extremely awkward hug. He just needs her as a number to break up Kevin and Marilyn, because he thinks it's Marilyn and Kevin. No, she's like, that hug made literally no sense. I need to go and think. Meanwhile, Marilyn and Arnick are having a chat. Arnick is going back to her signature move, which is threatening people. She's like, you better not betray me. And they're kind of lamenting. They're like, yeah, it's gonna really hurt betraying our faithful friends. You know, there's no murder tonight, so that's great. We don't have to betray them now, and it gives us an extra night to decide what to do. But, like, I just want to point out, voting them out before the finals is probably preferable emotionally to ending the game with them and doing the oops, sorry.
Yeah. I'm a faithful. Yay. I'm a traitor. Whoa.
Sorry about that. And I think avoiding that awkward moment and having it a celebratory moment is another reason why traitors are incentivized to finish the game together. Yeah, and they should bring back Prisoner's Dilemma.
Because maybe that's what's going to happen then. Maybe that's why they showed us that.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Because this is the conversation. So Marilyn tells her faithfuls, that's Kevin and Audrey, we're going to banish Manuel first, then Arnick, and feeds them a little bit more Arnick evidence. And Audrey and Marilyn have a one-on-one chat. And Audrey's like, do you think we just banish Arnick first, and then we banish Manuel? And Marilyn's like, no. And Marilyn knows this because she's a traitor. Like, half there, babes. Half there. So we end the episode with Audrey thinking she's going to have to flip on Marilyn. Arnick still intending to go to the end with Marilyn. And in La Revelation, everyone is shocked it's Arnick that's the traitor. This is JP and Harissa, and say they're never going to catch her. So we're going into the finale with Arnick being the most in the clear traitor, but with the least number of locked-in allies. Marilyn's been clocked by Audrey, who's a very loud voice, but maybe Audrey still wants to keep numbers, but she doesn't trust Kevin. I don't know. So we've got 2 more episodes left. Next episode, there's no murder. And then there's either a banishment or a cliffhanger banishment. And then we've got episode 11, where we'll either have the cliffhanger revealed or the whole episode is just going to be the fire of truth. So that's why I think it's going to be a cliffhanger banishment in episode 10. Yep. So let's just talk through what these scenarios are. So in scenario 1, if we then have an alliance, Audrey comes straight to Anik and Manuel. They will push Marilyn. Could Anik and Manuel refuse here? Could Anik say, no, I want to keep Marilyn around? So they get rid of Kevin instead, and then Audrey, and we get a dual traitor win. Alternatively, they could say yes, and Marilyn goes, followed by Kevin, or followed by Audrey, and then Anik just wins. If Audrey, Kevin, and Marilyn, they vote out, if they stick together, they vote out Manuel, followed by Audrey, we get a dual traitor win. The only scenario in which we get an all-faithful win, Marilyn would have to, go out first, and Anik would somehow have to tip them off, and Manuel would somehow end up having to, flip on Anik. I don't know how that's even gonna work. I can, maybe it happens, but would it just end up as a Kevin-Manuel final 2 rather than Audrey being there as well? I can't see Manuel and Kevin ending the game with Audrey.
No, I think at the very least there's going to have to just be a final man.
Yeah.
Based off what they've been thinking this whole time. So they're going to have to at least, the Manuel, but again, Noel, they're going to have to null him. He's 5.
Yeah.
And then the permutations of, is it 3? I think what hinges on after the Manuel banishment is whether or not Audrey decides to get rid of Marilyn or Anik, and then and whether or not they decide to just take a shot at both of them or one of them, and then that ends the game.
Yeah. It becomes really hard. If Audrey, Kevin, and Marilyn stick together as a 3 for Audrey to vote out Manuel, unless Marilyn flips on Kevin, Audrey is lost the numbers. She's not going to be able to get rid of Kevin or Anik and Marilyn. So I actually think that Audrey can't afford to lose Manuel at this next vote because Kevin's always going to pick Marilyn over her.
And maybe that's at the very least what we've been somewhat set up to accept, is that maybe they will.
Okay, what if all of these awkward Manuel and Audrey moments really are an enemies to lovers thing, where they've distrusted each other, they've been at each other's throats, but they've been trying to work together? What if they really do come together? What if we end up with an Audrey Manuel final 2 and then they make out over the prize pot
of $50? Because if we go back to our last Canada season, we kept getting these annoying seeds of friggin' Lauren and the other Kevin, and I was just like, I hate these seeds.
It went nowhere.
But it kind of did, because Lauren turned on him at the very end, and that was what led up to, because they thought each other were traitors, and then they had the non-reveals. So I think this is a relationship that is pivotal to something.
Okay. I think the most likely scenario is an Anik win.
Yes.
But I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to predict an Audrey-Manuel win together.
Do you know?
Because I kind of want it for the drama.
Yeah, I think those are my 2 ideal scenarios. Love Marilyn and Kevin, you're cool, but I would prefer the dramatic win of Anik winning, given all that she's gone through. Or our faves uniting as one, holding hands.
Making out.
No, I don't want to see Manuel making out with Audrey.
Are we going to get jealous? Are we going to have to fight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not allowed to make out with Audrey Manuel. It'll upset us. Okay, but I would also be really happy with an Arnick Marilyn win too.
Yes.
That would be cool. I've never seen two traitors win together before. Apparently it's happened in some non-English speaking version. But I'd be happy for that. I'd be really mad there wasn't a prisoner's dilemma. That would really piss me off. But narratively speaking, like from characters, I wouldn't hate it.
But also, it would just render so much of the season sort of a bit
You're
naff.
right. Actually, the more I think about it, the more angry I would be about there not being a prisoner's dilemma. I don't want that to happen.
I don't want that to happen.
No.
That's yuck.
That's
yuck.
yuck.
That's what I mean. We as viewers are not wanting this to happen.
No.
This is what I mean. They don't want it to happen. They
Solo
want the
Arnick
dramatic
win
reveal.
or Manuel and Audrey winning. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, but I don't want Manuel to cry when Arnick reveals that she's a traitor.
I don't think he'll cry about that.
Okay. All right. He'll give his stoic face. He'll be like...
Yeah, he'll just stand there in his suit like...
I know. He's brought so many suits. That is a man who has a lot of suits. Suitogolgist.
Suitogolgist.
Suitogologist Manuel.
Yeah, maybe that's why everyone was confused. They're like, he said he was a synagoguist. He was like, no, my reveal is that, no, guys, I've been saying suitogologist. I'm a fashion
All
designer.
this time you thought I was a synagoguist.
I'm a suitogologist. That would be the reveal.
People are not going to understand our Australian accents with that, but I don't care. That was hilarious to us. Well, that was so fun. I actually, I think I'm going to have to go and watch the episodes right now because that was really good. And I kind of want to know, I've got to go to the office in the morning, but I want to know what happens.
Yeah, true. Okay, well, maybe we'll have to do this sooner than later.
I know. All right. Well,
next week.
everybody, please let us know what you think. Leave us a comment on YouTube or Spotify. Leave us a 5-star rating and review because we would love that. Literally, we're addicted to compliments. Philly, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at ChiliPhilly or on Twitter /X or whatever at the ChiliPhilly. And what about you, Annabel?
You can find me at Annabel CE. You can find us at Babes on the Brink everywhere. Jane and I are covering the Traitors India, which is out. The first 3 episodes have been released with new ones coming every Thursday. Jane and I are recapping it on Australian Sundays. So that's when you should be getting new stuff in your feed. So listen to that. And this Wednesday, I am going to be joining Puya on the We Know the Traitors wrap up, talking about if you're new to the Traitors and you like X, where should you start? And you better believe, if you like drama, I'm going to be recommending Quebec.
Mm-hmm. There you go. I love that.
Yes! All right, everyone. We love you. Thank you so much. Bye.